Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Okay, so this video is going to be about my X7. This one's just going to be more about how I decided to buy the X7 and what process, because I got a story for you. Trust me, you want to stick around for this one. Let's get going. Okay, so let's go back to last summer of 2024. And I had the Range Rover Sport. I would go back and forth if I like it or not. And I think I just wanted something a little more, I don't know. Honestly, I wasn't sure what I was wanting in it, other than it was a great car, probably could use more space. Then I decided to cross shop some X5s, Porsche Cayenne turbos. And X5M, my requirements, I needed air suspension. I wanted to have, obviously, a towing package. I wanted a good sound system. So I knew I wanted for the X5. I wanted the Bowers & Wilkins, wanted the luxury executive driver assistance package, air suspension, 2-axle towing package. Not so much to ask for, right? That's not a lot on your list. Porsche Cayenne Turbo was a nightmare to find. I mean, their packages are so a la carte depending on what you're looking for, but I think I was going to end up with the same position if I did that for an X5 with the Range Rover Sport, where I probably lose some cargo space. A few things I'm looking for with next car, obviously, it was more space. How does it fit with the car seats in the car? How's it ergonomics when the car seat's there? Your car seat position, your driver position, passenger position, things like that. Wasn't really thinking about a 7-passenger SUV at this point. I was kind of looking at the Audi SQ7 because I had a Q7, loved the Q7 I had before, and went to the Volkswagen dealer, found the SQ7, and of course it was sold. It was on the lot, but I guess someone was buying it, asked if I could just look at it. They barely let me look at it, and I was like, you know what, that's all right. To go like try to find, I think they're in the middle of transitioning for the old style, new style, and it just seems like more of a hassle to do it. So I just like, let me look at a X5 M50i, be brand new, something that I know I'll keep for a while, so I'm updated. Doesn't really have much experience with the newer BMWs, the iDrive 7 and things like that, but I decided, let me just give it a try. So wife and I decided to go ahead and look at one. We decided to test drive it. I went to our local BMW dealership in BMW Fairfield. Very nice, very accommodating, no pressure. They brought up a brand new one, no questions asked. Let me put my car seat in there. Got a chance to do a comparison with it. I think my only issues with that one was it was too much for me, which I was thinking, going back to BMW, I'm thinking back to my old 2016 X5M, where I had physical buttons, and this was complete opposite. While it had a similar engine, it had some similar sounds, it did have a little bit of that X5M sound to it about the exhaust. I didn't feel that it was quite, I don't know, like there, like I preferred. So I thought about it, because it's a lot of money, trust me, the new ones are a lot. Entertained the thought of maybe a leasing one. But I guess leasing doesn't work out for payment-wise. Because I was trying to say, okay, if I put this much down, even add like $15,000 down, doesn't help you that much. You don't get it back when you turn the lease in. It doesn't really save you much money from financing the car, and then you have more restrictions. I feel like it's more of a hassle. I think maybe leasing's for certain people. I thought the extra benefit, I guess, you're to protect against depreciation, but I just didn't think it was a good enough reason for me to decide that route. So I decided to go ahead and decide. Well, I drove the M60i, I drove it around. I just didn't feel connected to it like I thought it would, especially for a $100,000 car with the way I expected. Plus, they didn't have the example I just wanted to try, see how it ride with the air, the 2-axle air option, which is rare. Like I said, if I had to buy one, it would have to special order. So I decided, you know what, maybe I should get an M50i. It gives me some performance. Maybe it has a little more better exhaust system, in my opinion. I think because of the hybridization on the new ones. So I decided to go ahead and just look for one of those. So here we are. Start my search. M50i X5. It's dynamic. No, I wanted the two-axle air. The Bowers and Wilkins were a must. Driver assistance was a must. Luxury package, executive package. And then I was thinking, well, it's just hard to find, especially with the towing package. You get that in there. If you send a towing package, it might be missing driver assistance. If that driver assistance and Bowers and Wilkins is missing towing. I spent too much time. I found one. I even looked back, even as old as some of the 2019s, to see if I could find like a 50i. And it just wasn't, they weren't there. And like I said, if I found one, it had, 4 owners. It's been in 2 accidents. And like I said, I'm okay with damages. I'm okay with seeing that, maybe a small minor fender bender. But when I see an accident, airbags deployed, vehicle towed, I'm gonna stay away from it. Then it's accident again. No, that's all right. I'll pass on that. So I decided to go ahead and look for, I thought maybe I'll try an X7. Just a thought. Only because they come with standard air suspension. I mean, that eliminates most of the hard problem I'm finding with the X5s. But then I add in another factor. You can get captain seats or a bench seat in the rear. Now, I rented an X7 a couple years ago, and I remember driving it, and I remember feeling like it was kind of bulky to drive, and I wasn't sure if I felt like it was a big car, and people were telling me, oh, you got to try the forums, you look on the forums, and I said, no, you got to try the dynamic handling package. The forums mostly consist of, for enthusiasts, I would think. So they're saying, look for DHP, dynamic handling package, and I'm trying to find one with dynamic handling package. At least I can drive it. Maybe buy it, depends on if it works out. So I started looking for one, so I added that. All the packages I wanted: executive, luxury, driver assistance. I think on the X7s, they come with the parking assistance. I wanted certain wheels, at least wanted the 22-inch wheels. And I wanted the rear, I wanted the towing package, Bowers Wilkins, and I wanted captain seats. Again, not so much. One thing I was flexible on was rear entertainment system, and I was flexible on the interior. But I wanted the full leather. I was okay with the extended. So started the search, found 3 around the same time. So I'm trying to decide which one. There's one local to me at BMW Fairfield, just popped up. It had they wanted $52,000 for it. It had 60,000 miles. So thought I'd take a look at that one. But then there's one in North Carolina. That one was my spec. It was a 2020. Now, my color choices were the ones that I didn't want black. I already had a black Range Rover, had a black X5. Didn't want gray, had a gray X5. I didn't want gray. I wanted Tanzanite was the color I wanted. Number one choice, hands down. Tanzanite. Number 1. Number 2 was gonna be mineral white. So here we are. And then the carbon black would be my 3rd choice. So I found there's a black one in Sacramento. There was a 2021, 30,000 miles, or 33,000 miles, or something like that, 32,000 miles. Then there was one that had 27,000 miles, or 2020, Tanzanite 2. Had everything, including night vision, rear entertainment, full leather, everything. They wanted like 57 for it, I believe. It was or 55. It was low price, 55 certified. And then one here, local to me, BMW Fairfield. So I decided to go for the color choice I want. This one has everything I want. Yeah, it's far away, but why don't I go for that one? So while I was doing that, I was coming home from work one day. I was passing by BMW Fairfield. They're about to close. I just looked at the lot, just kind of scanned over, looked at the X7 to see if I looked at it, would it be something I like? Here's a white one, mineral white. Had a little higher miles. Price is great, don't get me wrong, but I just was thinking to myself, I really want to buy it, try something out like that with that. amount of use on it. So I was looking at it and I was like, I could probably do it, but let me call about this Tanzanite 2. Let me see how it goes. And so it was like early in the week. It was like a Sunday or something like that. So I decided to call about it on that Monday or Tuesday. And they told me, and like I said, granted, that Tanzanite 2 didn't have pictures posted. I just ran the VIN number and found that it had all the packages. And I knew that if I snatched this car quickly, I'd probably have an edge on anybody else. Unless people are on the ground who actually sees the car, it depends on where it's parked. So I went ahead and made the call, sent the message out, made the call, got a call back from dealer, talked to him, told him, hey, blah, blah, I'm interested in the X7. You guys have it a lot. And they said, oh, blah, 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 stock number. I said, yep. They said, oh, great. They said, that's a nice car. We can come down and look at it. And I said, I'm in California, but I have family in North Carolina. I could probably have my mother come by and look at it, at least, put some eyes on it and at least help me out a little bit on it. So they're like, yeah, that's great. Have your mom come down. I said, all right. So I texted my mom. Mom drove down to the dealer. As she was driving down, I get another call back. It said, hey, Edward, yeah, you're interested in the X7, right? I said, yeah. Yeah, I forgot his name. He was like telling me about who he was, his title, and then had to get, you're starting to already think about what's happening next. And I'm already anticipating it too. So I'm getting the unfortunate news that while that was a nice car, a lot of other people thought the same thing. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people interested, and I'm pretty much on a list now because they've already got somebody that's on the car, and the car is they just got it in, and of course it's getting it's pre-inspection and before it's listed. So my mom was driving there, she couldn't really see the car, blah blah blah, and so these other buyers, like there's 2-3 buyers that were interested. I don't know. Sometimes I think it's bogus, sometimes I not. I honestly don't know, but it could most likely have been true because that was a very clean car. So I said, okay. I said I was really interested in this car. I said this car was my spec. I was ready to buy it had it not if it checked out. And they said we completely understand. And just unfortunately that there's someone else that was pretty much ahead of me, beating me to it. So early bird gets the worm, right? You lose. You lose. So as much as I try to push, they didn't sell me the car.
Well, early bird gets the worm, pops.
So I decided, why don't we just go look at that one, the one local to us. I told my wife, I said, why don't we just look at that one? So this was like the next day off. We, packed up our son, went there, looked at it, and now I remember I said the first time I saw it, it was parked in the back of the lot. It was look, I just got it in. It's BMW Fairfield. But when we drove there the next day, of course, it's parked up front. And in my head, I'm thinking to myself, well, if it's parked up front, you know what that means. Either someone just recently test drove it and they decided no, or someone test drove it and they said yes, and they're probably gonna buy the car right now. Because there's no reason that the car is parked up front. So I walked in, they let me look at it. I got the keys for it, and then manager comes out, says, hey, I'm sorry, someone's got a deposit on that one.
I was too late.
I said, okay, well, can I at least open it up? At least I just want to do is set the car seat in there to see how it looks. And I was like, yeah, you can do that. And obviously I couldn't drive it and see. And I really wanted to I did want to drive it because I said I did rent a 40i for like a week. But I said the 40i, I felt it was a little underwhelming on power for my needs. I think it's great for most people. Don't get me wrong, if the 40i is strong, it's a good motor in there, B58, and I'm saying that engine is bad. I just want a little more oomph out of it. But for day-to-day use, definitely had the power to move. It had the power to get out of its own way if it need to. But I just decided to, if I do it, I'm gonna do it a V8. So of course, these X7s I'm mentioning are all M50i's. I should probably preface that in the beginning. They're all M50i's. So anyway, we decided to at least sit in, look at it, and all right, well, thank you. I said not much you can do. I said, you know what? Maybe I should do a new one. Just get over with. Let's do a new one. So I asked him. I said, "Do you have any M60i's on the lot that I can look at, test drive?" He checked. Apparently, they're all got deposits on them or something like that. And I said, "Okay, thanks." You know, I mean, I don't know what it is, but I guess everybody's buying the X7s all of a sudden. But like I said, I wasn't too sold on the new style, but like I said, if they had one, I love the bay blue on that one. I think if they had a bay blue, had everything I wanted, I would have made it happen. I would have made it happen. But anyway, decided, all right, I'll leave, and you know, guys don't like me. That's all right. So I left, and and I decided to think about what I was doing. I did get a follow-up call from the dealership, and then I think they were asking me more about the X5. I think I told them, I think the sales guy that told me about the X5, you know, from being up Fairfield, I said, you know, I like the X5. The X7, I'm only concerned with the X7 just its length. I don't know if it's going to fit in the garage. I measured the garage, measured the X7, you know, according to dimensions online, and I said, it's going to be a tight fit. I don't know if it's going to fit, because if it can't fit in the garage, I'm not sure if I want this car sitting outside either. And he's like, yeah, it might be a tight fit. X7 is a bigger car. You know, I was just thinking to myself, you know, and they were wrong. I said, I like the experience of BMW Fairfield. When I had it there, when I was looking in the sales area, they said they didn't, you know, shoo me away or push me when I was test driving it. They let me take my time, and I didn't feel the pressure to buy anything. You know, except we ran the numbers of both leasing and financing, and then it just, since for me at the X5 at the time, didn't think about it. Maybe I should have entertained the option of the X7 to see what they could have done, because I'm reading that there are now more deals and incentives and things, and I probably could have pushed for something like that. But it's hard to do it when you're not sure and you don't know what you want. And like I said, I haven't got a chance to even play with one, didn't even know. So I said, I'll just, you know, I made my decision and I'll look around. So I looked around. Of course, there was no more pre-owned ones other than that one in Sacramento, that 30,000 miles, but it was black. You know, I didn't really want black. But my wife, I said, why don't we look at it and see? We'll look at it. We'll see what it's like, and go from there. You know, no pressure. So I hate making appointments. I really do. I don't like making appointments. Like just showing up at the dealership, just go ahead and go for it. Just make sure that I'm the, you know, because I don't want them to, I want to look at the car without them knowing that I'm interested in buying it. Because if they find I'm interested in making a call and I'm making a trip down there for that particular car, then it kind of shows that I'm, you know, for me, it hurts my negotiations if I want to negotiate. But this car was an hour away, and to bring my family up there, it just seemed like I had to make an appointment just to verify that the car was there, because I had to do it and the car sold. So I called, the car was there. Now, this was that yellow BMW in Sacramento. So I made the appointment, told them they asked what time I would be there. I said I could be there. Granted, it was a Saturday, which I know Saturday's a busy day, but I said I could be there at, you know, around 1. I was like, I don't know. If you want time, that's another thing. There's a time. Some of these weekends are just, they're busy and everything else. So, of course, Saturday, coming from the Bay Area, it's just, traffic's just nuts. So as I'm on my way there, I get a call back, and I know I'm like half an hour behind, because it was more traffic than I anticipated when I left. They said, hey, we're just checking to see, are you on your way? I said, yep, I'm on my way. I said, all right, great. And one thing I hate about doing, also when you call about a car to look at, the car can be parked in the back. And that's what I'm like. And then when you tell them that you're coming, oh, great, we get the car washed, ready for you. And like I said, you already set the tone that you're buying the car. And I don't like that. But it is what it is. And like I said, you know, plus they put it up front. And then now not only you're going to look at it, everyone else at that place is going to see it too. So, and Niello has a thing we're called Niello Go, where you can buy online. It's kind of like a CarMax type buying experience, I think. But like I said, I didn't want to go that route. I was just wanted to make the appointment and see, that's where the car is listed in the Niello Go, and looked at the car. So I went up there, made the appointment, looked at the car. Of course, the car's up front, just like I thought. So when I pulled up, it's right there. So meet my sales consultant. He greets me. I tell him that I got family in, they're right behind me. So he says, yeah, great. He's like, get the car turned on. I'll get the car seat loaded in there. We can go for a test drive. Great. So I walk over for the car, kind of see that, got a couple little scratches and things, but I said, I mean, it is a used car. I'm not expecting the car to be showroom condition. Interior's a little dirty, but again, me being nitpicky, I understand that these are family cars, and these are family oriented cars, and they're not going to be like my typical M3s and Type Rs that I buy, where people keep those things, especially Type R owners. I don't know why. Type R owners, they keep those cars in like plastic wrap. They don't ever take the wraps off of them, but that's just each your own, right? But yeah, I decided to go ahead and look at it. So we took it for a test drive, but right before we did that, right before we actually was getting in there, when he cranked it up, there was a guy. I didn't really make eye contact because I wasn't thinking about it. I'm just loading the car seat in the back seat, and I think I'm standing this way. And there's a gentleman, I think his wife or kid or something like that. They're standing over to the sidewalk, and there's a couple of cars parked on the sidewalk in yellow, and this car is kind of backed in up against those where they can do deliveries and things. So I'm loading the car, get my son in there, and the son turns the engine on. You can hear it, whoa, the exhaust starts up, and this guy stops walking, and he's like, ah. And I'm thinking, I didn't really, like I said, I wasn't paying much attention to it in the moment because I thought maybe he liked the car and maybe he wanted at some point wanted to look at it, but I didn't think it was more. I thought it was more curiosity than anything else. Like, oh, dang it, I want to look at that. That would have been a car I could look at too, right? And it could have been. Anyway, we test drove it, and immediately I was able to drive it out the lot. And as soon as I turned out the lot, I was like, wow, this thing drives nice. Now this has the active steering, the Integra active steering with the dynamic handling package, and immediately I could feel what it was like maneuvering in the parking lot. I said, this feels just like the X5, even better than that. It drives so easy, so nice. So we put it in sport mode, and I did a little acceleration, little punch. Not much because I said I do have the family in the car, but I feel like it could get down a little bit. It's not. I don't think it's a little different power delivery experience than it would be with the Range Rover. Range Rover has that instant supercharged roar, monstrous roar, and the thing kind of squats down a little bit. This is sort of just hunkers down a little bit, but it accelerates more as it revs out, and I think that's just the supercharger versus turbocharger power delivery. Did a couple of little things to kind of turn in sport mode. I'm like, I like how it just felt Planet 2. I said, I looked at it and look at it in the yellow, no pressure. I told my wife, I said, you gotta drive it. So she drove it. We went to the dealership, back to the dealership parking lot. We switched places, and she drives it. And when she drives it, I'm sitting in the back seat, and I notice that family walked out. And then they walked out and kind of stood there as we drove away. And I was like, huh, that's weird. But I still wasn't putting it together, because usually a salesman guy tell, hey, yeah, we got somebody on this car, you can buy it, blah, blah, blah. They didn't tell me that. They didn't tell me that, anything like that. So I told my wife, I said, anyway, she drove it. She liked it. She has an X3 M50i she drives. And then we had to park it and things, and she parked it with one shot and felt that it was great to drive. And I noticed that when she came back to the dealership, we sat in the car. We thought about it. We talked about numbers. Not really talking about numbers, but my wife and I, we talked numbers amongst ourselves. Like, okay, is it black? Is black? Not really. I want black. Timing's not the right time as far as right now. I still have the Range Rover Sport, and then I can see trade-in value. And so as we're talking, and you got a 1-year-old, and he's getting impatient, and what do you do? You're trying to concentrate, but at the same time as you're trying to keep him entertained. And so he left us in the parking lot. He told us, here's a key. You stay there. Come back, find me when you're ready. You guys talk about it, take your time. So we talked about, looked over the car. Looked at the Range Rover, looked at the X7, looked at the Range Rover, looked at the X7, looked at the Range Rover, blah, blah, blah. Just kept looking, trying to decide what are the things I can do if I were to stay this. If I buy this one, what would I do? How would I feel? And I felt like, to me, it felt comfortable with the right choice. I told you, I mentioned my other videos, I mentioned the car had full PPF there. It had not the quite wheel choice that I preferred, but it had everything, and minus a couple of things, but the price was in the ballpark, okay? I think I could probably negotiate the price down a little bit more, but let me just get some concentration. I don't want we're kind of getting hungry too at this point, and you don't want to start, plus on Saturdays are just not a good day to be sitting there trying to negotiate. You're gonna be there till late, there's 20 other people buying cars that day, and so I told this, I said, hey, you know what, I like to put a deposit on the car, hold it till tomorrow morning and everything like that, or I can just let you know that I'm good faith, I'm willing to do that. And he says, unfortunately, we don't take deposits. We just had bad experiences in the past. I said, all right, understood. I will, I guess we'll go. And he didn't tell us about anybody else was in the car. Matter of fact, that couple that I mentioned before, I thought, well, if we leave, they're gonna buy the car. It's gonna be gone. If they're the ones, if I was thinking they're interested in the car's gonna be gone. So I didn't see them anymore. Maybe they were there hanging out. I don't know. But I figured, well, they're gonna snatch it up. So I wasn't gonna be that person too, just to buy the car, because I want someone else to buy the car. If I wanted at least take and sleep on it, see how I feel in the morning, get a fresh mind, go up there by myself, negotiate, buy the car. If it worked, it worked. So next morning, got up, thought about how I felt. I said, you know what? I want to make the move. I want to buy the car. They apparently don't take deposits, but let me see if the car is still available. So I texted the sales guy. He said the car is there, blah, blah, blah. He said, make an appointment, but he's out of office that day, but he set me up with his other colleague that is also there at the showroom and could be able to handle my paperwork and me moving forward with the transaction, which I told him I didn't really say I'm buying the car, but I kind of alluded to the fact that that's the direction I want to go. Set an appointment up, and we went to the pumpkin patch because it was early in the morning. So we went to the pumpkin patch with my son. This is October at this point. And we decided to, she would stay behind. I was going to drive there myself. And as I'm driving there, my appointment, I get a phone call. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, he's like, hi. He's like, hey, blah, blah. I introduces himself, tells me his title, his name. I'm, blah, blah, with Yellow Go, blah, blah. You're interested in that car? Yep. How you like it? And I said, well, I liked it. Everything else is good to go. I just want to take time to think about it. And now I'm, going up there. He said, yeah, I see you had an appointment here. But I got to tell you something. While you were there, there was another couple who was there interested in the car. And unfortunately, we couldn't sell them the car because you're interested in the car. So now that you're going back, we had to let them, we had to go with them now to let them buy the car. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, man. Damn it! I said, is the car sold then? Because I'm myself, the car is, if they can't hold the car, they didn't hold the car for me, then, I'm assuming he's there buying the car at that point, right? They said, well, he's on Yellow Go. He's doing the process right now. We're waiting for the paperwork to get through. So we should know something in an hour or so. I said, hold on a second. I mean, you won't hold the car for me when I was there, but you're holding the car for him. I said, if anything, I could have went on Yellow Go last night and locked the car. If that was what it took. I said the reason I did that because I wanted to give my sales associate the time to to work with them. I wasn't going to just go behind his back and just purchase a line after he took the time and let me look at it. They said, "Yep, well, that's just unfortunately how it pans out." And I'm thinking to myself, "That's
God damn it,
that sucks." I'm like halfway to the dealership. I'm thinking that's in a way it feels like they're holding the car for him, but like I said, so I got there. I said I'm almost there anyway, right? So I just kept driving. I said I'll deal with it when I get there in person. So I get there in person, and the manager at that in the showroom was trying to figure out. He said, well, "What's going on?" I said, "Well, told him the story, what's happening." I said, "If you can't hold cars and the car's here, and I'm here, who are you holding the car for?" Because he hasn't bought the car. If he was really interested in the car, he'd have bought the car that night. He waited. I left. He could have bought the car at night. And I called, first thing in the morning, and the car was here. So I don't know where this goes. So they had to make some phone calls, and ultimately it came down to the person in the showroom gets the first dibs, which I thought rightfully so, because how many times if you follow this channel long enough, how many times have I told you where a car's been sold from underneath me because I was making literally a transaction over the phone and submitting my bank paperwork in just as someone else went in and bought the cars from underneath me. So it would be unfair if they were to do that, hold the car for someone else while I'm actually in the showroom ready to buy and their transaction hasn't fully processed. So unfortunately, what that happened, that takes away all negotiations. There's no negotiation at that point because if there got somebody buying it, now at this point I decided now I got to pay asking price, which, like I said, if I say, oh, can you take this much off? I want to offer this. They're like, dude, get out of here. Go kick, we got, we just go the other guy then. We make the accommodation. So the price wasn't, like I said, it was a fair price. I just wanted to make a great price. So I bought it. I bought this extended warranty. Because while mechanically I know I can maintain the car, I know I can handle anything that goes wrong with the mechanics of it. What I'm not willing to spend money on is, these other issues regarding like these seats that everything's electronic. There's a lot of electronics in this that I'm not willing to deal with. These modules and diagnosing, rather just have someone pay for. I think it's going to pay for itself. Like I said, I'm not buying any more cars for 2025, and plus for SUV, I think having this is gonna. I can't see nothing else that could replace this. It's got everything I could possibly need, including the extra seating that if I have to get extra seats, it's a 6-passenger, so I gain an extra seat over the X5 and extra cargo room when I'm not using the seats. Some are going to say, well, you get the captain seats, you don't get the cargo room because you can't fold the rear seat down flat. That's true, but it's not often that I have to fold the rear seat down flat in the X5 anyway. So I got extra space on top of that. If I was using this more as a truck and yeah, I need to haul mattress and things on a daily basis, then yeah, it's possible that I probably went with the bench seat, but I chose the captains over the bench for, I had to weigh the times, how much am I using these seats? How long, I mean, am I using the seat more to sit in, or am I using the seat more folded and hauling? If it's the one time a year that I needed to fold the seat down flat, it was no reason for me to get the bench seat. Unless, for example, I need the full 7 passengers, so, which I don't, so do that. We'll do, let me get the key. What it's like about this, I know people are gonna watch the channel, I'm like, man, you know what, you're just now joining the game. See, I just had the key in my hand, but the car's waking up because it senses that I'm close by, I'm about to get in. So the car woke up, you hear the fuel pump priming itself, lights turned on. Right now I have the air suspension in the lowest level. As I got closer to the vehicle, you know, now it's unlocking itself. Like I said, I didn't get the full leather, so this is just hard plastic area, but wasn't a deal breaker for me. Had it, I would have loved it, but like I said, again, not a deal breaker. This rear entertainment does look factory, but it's not factory rear entertainment. So, bought these screens on eBay. Looks factory to me. They stream, they watch movies, they plug into the port. You got your USB-C. I'll do a full video of the functionality of this, but it's a good alternative if you want a rear entertainment system and you don't want to buy the iPad, you want to keep something in the car. I think it looks factory to me. It looks great, in my opinion. And like I said, just keep them plugged in, and they connect to the car's Wi-Fi for streaming, or use your phone Wi-Fi if you want. It's hotspot if you don't want to pay for a service. So I think it's just great options to have. And it just clicks right in. It tilts. Yeah, so you have plenty of options there. I'm gonna do a towing video on this too. I want to tow with it. You can see I got a hitch put on. I just want to see how the fitment worked, how it looked, you know, if I need to make the adjustments with the height. And then that's pretty much it. I really love the sound system. I really love the Bowers & Wilkins. Let me get this off. I'll show you a little bit more in detail. So I really love the Bowers & Wilkins sound system. Probably my favorites. Need to get this thing like tuned and you know, update it to whatever I need to do. Right now the seat's in its like neutral position, but you can see even with the screen there, and don't get me wrong, this front passenger seat is back. It's back pretty far. You can see, like, if you look at the backrest, see where it sits by the B pillar. So plenty of space up front. Got the crystal controls, leather dashboard, which I wanted. So yeah, it's got, I can't see me getting rid of this anytime soon. It's got everything I need. Like I said, I got the radar detector hot-wired. I'm gonna do a video on that, show you the process that I did. But yeah, it's a great car. More videos to come on this. I might do, which probably I can't do it BimmerCode, so it's going to be aftermarket, but I might get the adaptive or the, it comes standard with the anti-dazzle decoded for the US spec cars, so I'm going to get that coded back in for the anti-dazzle. For those with BMW laser lights, ask me a question, because I did drive at night with this already on a back road. How do I know the lasers are activated? Unless they're always on. Because I couldn't tell much difference between LEDs, and then when the high beam came on, even when I'm going over 40 miles an hour, I couldn't tell if the lasers were on or not. So let me know in the comments. I've read stuff in the forum saying that the US versions aren't powerful as the European versions, and I read that it could be coding. Some people say it's hardware. I honestly can't even tell if lasers even make a difference, because the Audi LEDs are pretty great, the Matrix, and these are pretty much seems on the same level. So laser is supposed to be better. I haven't seen the advantage of having laser over traditional LED. It's dirty right now. Black car with these specs, gonna be dirty. Towing test gonna be coming soon. I got a lot of plans, a lot. Just trying to squeeze the time in, trying to figure it all out. I appreciate your patience, folks. I'm gonna try to get a more consistent schedule. I'm almost at that point where I feel like I need to just hire an editor, because I could film, it's just the time to edit, and then the days I have time off, do I film or do I edit? So sometimes I edit videos quickly, and I can't. So SQ5 still here. Story about that. I want to exit Turo. I'm going to exit Turo. I just got to figure out what to do about this car, but I have decided that I'm not going to do Turo anymore. I'll make another video about that.